Welcome to St. Albert for the Sherwood Park Minor Hockey Knights versus St. Albert SA611. Just getting ready to start the first period. We'll have Noonan, Campbell, and Reed up front to start. Boyce and Durecci on defense. And it sounds like we're ready to go. Game on. Knights win the draw and they'll dump it in. Sneaks past Reed there. St. Albert will make their way through the middle. Out to center, pressure there from Noonan, battling hard, it's pushed back to Boyce. Boyce across to Durecci, up to Reed, bounces back to Durecci, bouncing at the center line. St. Albert will dump it in. St. Albert first to it, pressure there from Boyce. Pops loose to Campbell, Campbell looking for an outlet. He'll put it behind Noonan and that'll be icing. And they'll go off for a change, and we'll get a face-off in our own end. Knights win the draw there. Breen pushes it back behind the net for Maine. Maine tries to touch it forward. Intercepted, but regain control of and send out to center. St. Albert regrouping. Good pressure there. Puck jostled loose. St. Albert will get a stick on it and send it in. Tip, nice tip there from Maine. Anderson picked up the bouncing puck. St. Albert trying to go the other way. Pressure from the Knights. They'll try again up the center. Give the puck away. It was Kepler with it there. He couldn't get all of it. St. Albert now back through the neutral zone. They'll dump it in. Lemab goes back for it. Out to the point, kept in. Shot wide and high. Kept in at the blue line again. Pushed to the sideboard there. Skated out. Left for the defenseman. Didn't really think it was coming to him, but he was able to give it back. Loose puck in the corner. St. Albert centering, pass picked off by Henderson. He'll push it forward for Maine. Maine makes a move. Puck comes out of the zone and Breen will pick up the loose puck. He'll dump it in and they'll go for a change. St. Albert back for it. Centering pass picked off there by Jacobs. He'll put a shot on net. Nice rebound out in front. Couldn't get to it first though. St. Albert will push it into the corner. Centering pass for Jacobs. And St. Albert get a bounce and they're back the other way. Avery still digging for it, does well to pull it away from number 12 there. Still battling, no centering pass, off a skate into the corner. And covered there by Brady. Between the pipes for us today. Tiago away, we've got Jackson Yerim as the backup. Face-off win by Bowman. Puck behind the net. I don't think Monakoski knew it was going back there. St. Albert now with a loose puck in front. It was in the feet though. Couldn't get a shot off. And we're back the other way now. Frey for Jacobs. He'll push it into the zone. St. Albert back the other way, a pass between the defensemen. They'll catch him, no, keep him to the outside. Shot from a bad angle. He gets pushed hard into the wall there. Got the shot off, but it was behind the net. St. Albert still in control, off the side of the net there. Bowman picks it up. He's got Frey with him through the middle. He'll dump it in, and both will go for a change. Gow will now give chase for it, and he nearly gets to it first. He'll pry it away from the defender. Got lots of bodies on him there, and St. Albert will peel it off him and make their way through the middle of the ice. Dumped in behind, strange bounce, loose puck in front. Bouncing now, in feet. Still bouncing in feet, and pushed to the corner there. Good lead pass there for Gal from Campbell. Campbell just lost the handle, and puck is thrown back into the neutral zone. Boyce will dump it in. Senators are offside, or pardon me, Knights are offside, so we'll have a face-off in the neutral zone. .11:02 to go here in the first. Campbell with the draw, he'll win it forward. Bridges now trying to get it back from the St. Albert player. St. Albert over the blue line. Kept wide centered pass. Bobbled, no shot. Shot off of the leg there, the backhander off the leg of Brady. And he'll jump on top of it. We'll get a face-off. Kepler to take the draw. We're down to 3 centermen tonight. Campbell, Kepler, and Bowman. Push behind the net for Green. Green with the backhander up the wall, but it's kept stolen by St. Albert. And a shot from the slot. Brady was ready for it. He'll hold on to it for a face-off. No score thus far. Knights with the win there. Pushed up the wall for Reed. Reed turns. Tries to make a few moves. Puck is pushed off his stick. St. Albert with some space. He gets rocked for wobbling it a bit there at the ring-out line. Reed puts a shoulder into him. Centering pass through all the traffic, and it makes it all the way to center ice. Nearly picked off there by Noonan. Again there by Kepler. St. Albert will get control and send it into the zone. Bonikoski misses that puck. Manages to push it to his partner. It rolls past him, and Kepler picks it up and centers it. Reed battling for it now. St. Albert pick it up, and they'll walk it into the zone. Shot on Brady there, into the corner. Picked up by Bonikoski. Merrick turns behind his own net, looking for an outlet. Nobody moving though, and they'll get it stripped off of him at the blue line and kept in by St. Albert. Brady did well to stand up in front of it, made himself big, and go straight into his crest. He'll hold on to it for a face-off. 9:26 to go here in the first. Still no score. St. Albert win that draw. Back to the point. Shot through traffic. Man in front on his own. Knights coverage in front of their net needs to tighten up a little bit. There's been a lot of loose sticks in front there. St. Albert not yet able to capitalize on it. Hander gets a stick on it, pushes it past the defender. He'll chase it down as the teammate comes back for it. It's thrown into the neutral zone again. Bonikoski chips it. It's brought down by St. Albert. Bonikoski will try again, this time off the glass. St. Albert throw it back into traffic. Maine with an attempt at the hit on the big number 16. 18-3. Oh, wow. Off the bar there and over the glass. On the transition there with St. Albert finding some space in the slot. Face off to the left of Brady. Tied up there by both centermen. It gets thrown at the net, and Brady will jump on it for another face off to his left. Campbell with the draw. He'll win it. It's into traffic. St. Albert with the backhand. It goes into the corner there. Boyce back for it. He'll throw it behind the net for Campbell. Campbell bringing it out. Tries to get Jacobs. He does. Jacobs will carry it in over the blue line. He's got a lot of traffic. Loose puck kept in there by Bonikoski. Pardon me, that was Durecci. And gets a shot on net, but the goaltender saw it coming, so he'll hold on to it for a face-off. We'll get one next to him to the left. Campbell there with the draw. He's got Jacobs on the left and Hender on the right. Boyce and Durecci on defense. Puck back to Durecci. Shot through traffic. Don't know the goalie saw it, but it was a bit wide. Kept in at the blue line by Boyce. Pressure there in the feet of Jacobs. Still battling for it there. Up to the hash marks. St. Albert will try and push it back. Looks like it's under Jacobs. St. Albert with a flick to center ice. Puck to Boyce. Just rolled off his stick, and St. Albert will push it back the other way. Boyce behind his own net. Got caught up there. It's deflected. As the pass up to the blue line got deflected over the glass. We'll get a face-off in our own zone here left of Brady. Kapler to take the draw. St. Albert will win that back to their far point. They'll keep it in. Sent into traffic. Couldn't get it out at the blue line. Good pressure from Gao there. And Kapler will pick that up with some speed. He'll dump it in. He's got Bridges on the far side and Gao chasing for it. Bridges with it in his feet now. Narrowly escapes a hit. Puck gets rolled out to the point. Green with it. He'll step in. Shot through traffic. Couldn't get a stick on it. Was Gao there. Kept in at the blue line. So Kapler tries to make a move. It ends up with Gao. Bridges. Bouncing puck. St. Albert back the other way now. St. Albert onside apparently. Shot straight at Brady. And he'll hold on. It drops in front of him. He'll jump on it and get a whistle. Knights showing a bit of jump here. Getting the puck into the offensive zone. Face-off taken by St. Albert. Turn, fired. No pressure on big number 12, and he was able to turn, get a forehand shot in the slot, basically between the hash marks. And he'll bury that one for St. Albert's first goal of the game. Knights more than likely wanting that one back. Just gave him a bit too much space in the slot. Brady did not have much of a chance on that one. St. Albert win the draw and send it back in. Intercepted there by Reed. He'll try and push it up the wall. Loose puck into the slot. Picked up by Correa. Avery turns, takes the hit, pushes it up the wall. St. Albert to it first. They'll send it in front again. Loose puck bouncing. Nobody wants it. Given away. St. Albert pick it up again. Brady ready for it though. He'll cover it up and we'll get another face-off. That'll be a line change. Forwards and defense. Fresh legs. Campbell will take the draw. St. Albert win it. Shot, tip. Off, bouncing off of various feet and legs and sticks. Ends up in the corner. Boyce with it. Pushing it up the wall. He's got Campbell there as well. Pardon me, that's Hender. Hender gets it out to center. St. Albert will dump it in. No icing the call. Boyce picks up the loose puck for Maine. Maine will push it out in front of Campbell. Campbell with some speed. He'll give it to Hender in this center, and it's back to Campbell, but it was rolling. Couldn't get a shot off, and St. Albert will dump it out. Boyce back for it at his own blue line. He'll carry it behind his own net. Rolling puck. looking for support. We'll get it out to Hender. Bumper pass to Campbell, who's standing still. They managed to get it out of the zone. And St. Albert will turn with some speed, walking around the defense. Shot. Brady ready for it. He'll hold on to it for a face-off. Knights caught a little flat-footed there on the transition, but Brady coming up big to keep it a one-goal game. Knights win the draw. That was Kepler. Hudson chips it up the wall. It's kept in by St. Albert. Frey nearly got enough of it to get it out of the zone, but it jammed on a foot. It's back behind our own net. St. Albert centering pass missed by all in front of the net and makes it out at the blue line. St. Albert regrouping at their own blue line. Cross-ice pass picked off by Breen. St. Albert with a stick check. They're back the other way. Centered pass is way out of the reach. Big number 8. He heard footsteps. Lost track of the puck, but it's kept in at the point. Tipped there by bouncing puck there, nearly buried. Green did well defensively there to keep that from getting tossed right into his own net. St. Albert held up at the blue line. They're all standing still. They'll dump it in and get a change. St. Albert in the neutral zone. Pressured there by Bowman. Still pressured by Bowman. It's a cross-ice pass. Picked up by number 12. Rolled into the zone. Bouncing puck. Bowman's got that one taken off of him. Shot is wide of the net there. St. Albert still buzzing. Loose puck bouncing around. Bowman will push it out to Gow. Gow's got a chaser. Sent back into the neutral ice. Bridges to Bowman there. 3-on-2. Shot to the net. Bobbled by the goaltender. I think that's the first one he's really been challenged on. Bowman comes out with it. Gow's stick is broken. Bridges couldn't quite get a stick on the loose puck in front. Had an opportunity. Bowman back forward in the corner again. St. Albert a bit on their heels here. No pressure though, and they'll find an outlet pass. Suicide. Missed. And it's sent all the way down. Waved off for icing. Centering pass. Brady did an excellent job of staying with that one. St. Albert getting a stick on it twice. And again, keeping it a one-goal game is Brady Luberta. Okay. Zebra is pulling a broken stick off the ice. I believe that was Gow's. It's all over the place. Stick was at the ringette line and the blade is behind the net. So they'll pull that one off the ice. No, I guess it would be, no, never mind, it's a St. Albert player. We'll get a face-off next to Brady, left to Brady. One there by Campbell. St. Albert were first to it, but they bobble it, and the Knights will pull it out of the zone. Nice lead pass there for Noonan. Noonan with a bit of speed. Stick check. Then he's hit. Loose puck. Kept in at the blue line only briefly, and fortunate that it hit the linesman there. Otherwise, St. Albert would have been gone the other way. Reed with a bounce now. Deflected into the corner. Noonan, he'll pick it up. Walks it around the back of the net. Gets it out to Boyce in the slot. Smart play by Boyce with all the traffic. He'll put it wide, and it's now behind the net. Giveaway pass there by St. Albert. Loose puck in front. Another backhander onto the goaltender. He'll bobble it, but he'll manage to get on top of it and get a whistle to provide a face-off to his left. Face off one to the wall, battle there. Number 8, big number 8 comes out with it. He'll make his way up, centering pass. Knights with pressure. St. Albert will dump it in and get to it first. Given away. Rolled off a main stick. He pushes it out to the blue line. And St. Albert still with the puck. Deflected. Brady, no problem there. He pushed it into the corner. St. Albert will come up with it. Out to the point. Shot. Through traffic, but no deflections, and Brady will push it into the corner. Up to Maine, but it bounces off his stick, and St. Albert pick it up. Back to the point with some space. Shoveled well wide of the net by the forward in front. And that one's backhanded over the glass. And we'll get a face-off, this time to the right of Brady. Still a one-goal game. Shots are 16-3 in favor of the Royals. Minute 7 to play here in the first. That shot through Avery's feet. Jacobs deflected and off the blocker of Brady. That one was going in. Kept in at the blue line, dumped right back behind the net. Correa strips the man of the puck, gets it to Jacobs, but it bounced over his stick. This time for sure. And Jacobs with it in front of him. He's got Frey with him. Frey is in offside. Jacobs probably should have pushed that one forward. Hindsight's 2020. So 40 seconds to play here in the first period. 1-0 for the home team, St. Albert SA611. Bowman will take the draw. Puck is in the linesman's feet. And St. Albert come out with it. They'll dump it into the zone. Icing is waved off as Bonakowski picks up the loose puck. He'll shoot it up the wall. It's through traffic, but kept in at the blue line. No pressure on that defense. Loose shot. No deflection. Brady pushes it into the corner. 20 seconds to go. St. Albert with another attempt. That one was deflected over the boards. And we'll get a face-off next to Brady. Campbell will take the draw. St. Albert win it. Back to the point. Shot is wide of the net. Top of the circle, my mistake. St. Albert with some time now at the hash marks. Heard footsteps, lost track of the puck. It's thrown out of the zone by Bridges. Hit by Gal there from behind. So to finish the first period, we will probably pick up at least a 2-minute penalty and be penalty killing for the first few minutes of the second. All right, back for period number 2. Knights will be short a man. We've got Bridges and Campbell up front. Boyce and Durecci on defense. Hubert still between the pipes. Campbell wins the face-off, and he'll roll forward with the puck. Good for him. He'll dump it in low. St. Albert will set up behind their own net. Centered pass, nearly picked off by Durecci. That's going to be an icing call, except that Boyce will likely get to it first. It's waved off, and St. Albert will push him off the puck. It rolls up to the wall. Bridges with it. He'll get it out of the zone. And St. Albert will regroup, picking up the puck at center. Into the zone, dumping into the corner. Centering pass, Bridges gets all of it as it slid through the slot there. Goes all the way down, and St. Albert will have to regroup. St. Albert with some speed. Missed pass through the neutral zone. Boyce will get there and push it back, but St. Albert will keep it at their blue line and make their way back in, dumping it into the zone. Rolls to Noonan, and he'll get all of it and send it down. .45 seconds remaining in that penalty. St. Albert trying it again. They'll get in onside. Number 9 with a shot into the crest. And Brady makes no mistake. He'll hold on to that one for a face-off. Face-off win by the Knights there. Puck rolls dangerously through the crease. Given away there at the top of the circle, and St. Albert fired well over the net. Sent back down deep. Centered, tipped by Hudson, but kept in. Deflected there by Reed into the corner. St. Albert still alive. Nice hit there from Reed. Loose puck. Great movement from Brady to get in play for that. And Reed will get all of it and send it down the ice just as Gow pops out of the box. Gow giving chase. Bowman will pick up the loose puck in the corner. He'll dump it behind the net. St. Albert with it. Gow now pushing it to Bowman. Loose puck. St. Albert picked that one up though, and they'll walk it out of the zone. Big number 2 through center ice. He's held up there by the defenseman. Avery will pull the puck off him and send it to center. Main skating onto it. Kept in at the blue line, blasted by Avery, and the goaltender will catch that in his glove and hold on. So the Knights able to kill that one off. Still a 1-goal game. Campbell with the draw. It's tied up in the linesman's feet. It's pushed back to Bonikoski. It's in his feet. He'll push it forward for Campbell nicely. Shot through traffic. Right into the crest of the goalie, however, and he'll hold on to it. We'll get another face-off to his left. Campbell with the win. Bonikoski with it with pressure. Gets it to Campbell just under his stick, and St. Albert will push the other way. A stretch man in front. He's in offside. And that'll be all the way in front of Knights bench, I believe, will be that face-off, as it was deemed intentional. St. Albert win the draw there. And they'll get into neutral ice and now over the blue line. Nice move there. He walks. He's got all kinds of room. He buries it. As no one stepped in his way or got a stick on him. And with that, it'll be 2-0 for St. Albert. Not a lot of Brady could do there. Knights win the draw. Kepler back to Boyce. Boyce will dump it in, but it's straight onto the stick of the defender. And St. Albert will pull it back into their zone. Up the wall. Kept in by Durecci. Rolled around the wall. Boyce will step down and push it forward. To the defender. Pressure there from Kepler. Now Frey. Battling there for it. Ends up on Durecci's stick. He takes a shot wide of the net. And that'll be icing as it's thrown all the way down. We'll have a face-off to the right of the St. Albert goaltender. 2-0 the score. Shots are 19-5 in favor of the home team. Knights need to get some through the defenders on net here. Bowman with the draw. St. Albert will win that. And make their way into neutral ice. Puck bounced favorably for the Knights to Hudson. He pushes it into the neutral zone. And Bowman will catch it. But he caught the dump out, which means they're offside. We'll have a face-off in front of the Knights bench. Gow dumps it in on net. Bowman pushes it back behind the net. Gow will go for it. Bridges battling. He gets a piece of it. Wow, the defenseman nearly tipped it into his own net there on the deflection. Gow pushes the man off the puck. Bowman sees it and tries to control it. He'll pin it on the wall. Now Gow in there as well. Puck rolls back. St. Albert get a favorable bounce again, and they'll send a centering pass. Good defensive play there by Hudson to push it to the wall, but he's walked around from the hash marks. Bowman picks it up and pushes it out to the defenseman, and it's dumped behind the net. Hudson battling for it. Tries to push it around the second defender, but couldn't. St. Albert will pull it behind the net. Out to the point. Deflected into the corner. St. Albert with it again. Stripped there by Breen. Breen will flop it out to the neutral ice. Sits in front of Spencer there. He couldn't quite get a stick on it. St. Albert back the other way now. Number 9 back to the defenseman. Number 5. Loose puck flubbed there by Breen, but it makes it into the zone and deep. And Knights will get a change. Puck picked up there by Campbell, but we're calling it offside. This one will be all the way down. So the face-off will be left of Brady. Campbell will take the draw. He's got a little help there from Noonan. It's pushed out to the blue line. Noonan pressing now. Dumped deep. Slips past Avery's stick there. Centered onto his stick, but it shot's wide of the net. Rolling puck. Noonan was hoping it would come to him, but St. Albert get it. And loose puck in front. Bouncing puck in front ends up on the stick of the winger, and St. Albert will bury another one. Bit of unlucky bouncing, but we're a little bit of waiting there for the puck to come to us. And generally doesn't. Effort there from Maine to get a stick on it. Hender, Maine flubbed on the shot. They'll push it back and forth between each other. Hender will get a shot, but it's off the side of the net. Kepler now behind the net with it. He'll make a move. Loses the man. Nice pass to Maine in the slot. Couldn't get all of it. It was deflected past wide of the net. Kepler strips again and has possession. He'll drop it back for Boyce. Boyce will make a move now. Stick check there. St. Albert without pressure at the point, or down low. They get it out to the point, but Maine keeps it in. Good physical play there to keep it going. He's battling for it now. Ends up with Kepler. Kepler to Durecci. Tip. Nice tip there from Hender, just off the goalie's foot. Centering pass into the feet. Oh, Kepler couldn't get a stick on it. Pender now with it. Good pressure here from the Knights. Some smart passing. Another one to Maine. Maine with a shot. Goalie couldn't contain it. Its bounce is free, and now St. Albert will throw it. It was an attempted pass. This time it will be called icing, and we'll come back into their zone. It's good pressure there from the Knights. They got to build on that momentum. Face-off will be to the left of the St. Albert goaltender. Face-off win by the Knights, just wide of the net is Hudson's shot. Kept in, shot by Breen, no traffic though. Goaltender couldn't control it. Defenseman picked it up, given away to Lamab. Well, he read that well. Knights with better pressure here, giving St. Albert a lot less room to work with. Breen unlucky there off the leg. And it'll come back to center, but Hudson's there for it. He'll find Jacobs. Jacobs' bounce pass didn't quite work out, but found a favorable bounce, and Bowman's got it now. At the hash marks, St. Albert push it out to the blue line. With some speed now. 2-on-1 coming. No, he goes down. No offside. Puck's dumped into the corner. Centered now to no one. The defenseman will keep it in at the blue line. Shot through traffic. Number 10 on the back door. Uncovered. He gets an easy one and shovels it past Brady. And unfortunately, that's now 4-0 for the home team, St. Albert. Unlucky, the Knights showing some spark there, and St. Albert getting some bounces and moving the puck to the right spot. They got a favorable call there on that entry into the zone, but can't call Toronto, so it'll stay a 4-0 game. St. Albert bringing the puck back into their zone, off the boards. They'll pick up the loose puck. Onikoski steps in front of it. Campbell picks up the dump out. Shot is over the net. Bouncing puck behind the net. Bridges battling for it there. St. Albert up the wall with it. Campbell steps into it. Cow now with it. Campbell behind the net. Centers it. Loose puck. Goaltender sort of covers it, and it's whistled now. Shots 21-8. Knights definitely need to get that number to climb if we get any chance of getting some goals on this goaltender. Haven't really tested it much tonight. And St. Albert get a favorable bounce again. It's all the way down, but it'll be icing. And we'll get another face-off to the left of the St. Albert goaltender. To take the draw. Bridges passes it for Avery, but he'll miss the shot, and it rolls out of the zone. Makes a nice play in the neutral zone. Gives it to Bridges at the blue line. Bridges gets bumped off by big number 8. Takes the penalty, but Gow ends up with it on his stick. Pardon me. Centered for Gow from Campbell. Loose puck. Still loose. Goaltender finally puts a mid on it. St. Albert getting lucky there, I would say. Good pressure there from the Knights. .11:04 to go here in the second. Shots 21-10 now. Reed pushes it back to Durecci. Tried to get a tip on it. Goaltender stumbled a little, but it stayed under him, so he'll cover it up, and we'll get another face-off. Chasing it behind the net there. St. Albert across to the far corner. Out of the reach of Noonan. Kept in by Boyce. Noonan battling for it again over the stick of Reed. And St. Albert pick it up with some speed. Good stick checks there from the Knights. Kepler up the wall to Noonan, kept in by St. Albert, however, and Boyce with a bit of space. He'll pick up the puck with some speed. He's got a few bodies in front of him, gets it over to Kepler, but it's offside as the pass was unfortunately somewhat ill-timed. No worry there. Face-off will be here across from the Knights bench. Bowman will take the draw. He's got Hender on his left and Main on the right side. St. Albert throwing it into the neutral zone. Off of feet, Bowman picks up the loose puck, avoids the check, and regains control of the puck. Shot, dump in off into the corner, goes to Main, drop back for Durecci. He tries to catch Bowman through the middle with it, but it's over his stick, and St. Albert will come back the other way. St. Albert given the blue line, walk in, put it up over the glass, or up over the net, pardon me. Boyce picks up the loose puck, gets it off the stick of Hender. St. Albert push it back into the zone. They're still onside. They walk in, shot well wide of the net there. Pushed back again behind the net, into the feet of Main. Bobbling puck, bouncing. Boyce picks up the loose puck. He'll turn and push it up the wall for Main. Main bumper pass for Boyce. He wasn't really expecting it. And St. Albert will keep it in again. This time through the slot, onto the stick of Hender. He's got some room in front of him, and he'll try and send it for Main, who gets a favorable bounce there off the defenseman's stick. Stick check though, and St. Albert will control it into the corner. Back the other way. Good defensive play by Boyce. Back the other way here. Frey with Lemap. Nice shot from Frey off the blocker. Now from the other direction from Jacobs. Rebound. Nice. Ooh, tried to find Jacob right in front. It's dropped there. Couldn't get a full stick on it. That was Campbell, my mistake. Rolls back to the point. Green keeps it in off of a leg. Campbell will pick up the deflection. Just couldn't get enough on that pass, and St. Albert will come back the other way. Jacobs back for it. He gets a stick check. It's pushed into the corner. St. Albert, Jacobs will push it up the wall, but it's right to the defenseman. He couldn't control it though, so he'll carry it into the corner. Centering pass is intercepted by Campbell. Back to the point here for St. Albert. Shot through traffic, deflected into the corner. Rung around the boards, kept in by St. Albert. Back behind the net again. Centering pass to number 10, who isn't covered, and he'll get a shot and put it around Brady. Unfortunately, that's 5-0. With 7:55 to go here in the second period, the Knights find themselves down 5-0 against St. Albert. Shots 23-13 in favor of the home team. Puck pushed forward by the Knights. Loose there. Not called offside, although probably should have been. And St. Albert back the other way. Bridges gets in the way, only briefly. Another attempt by Kepler there. A lot of sticks coming through the neutral zone, none connecting. And St. Albert will set up now. Back to the point, backhand down to the hash marks. Rolls into the corner. Bonikoski has it but pushes it up the wall, and St. Albert pick it off again. Chipped out of the zone there by Bridges. Through the feet of Kepler, deflected to center. And Bonikoski battling for it there. It's in his feet. He's got 3 St. Albert players on him and no help. And St. Albert walked to the net. Brady did well to stop that one. 7:03 left to go here in the second. Knights finding it difficult to find their footing. Face-off win. Bouncing puck kept in by St. Albert. Durecci in the corner. Centering pass from St. Albert. It was in the feet, but off the ice. Made it through everyone. Boyce will pick up the puck at the blue line with some speed. He'll get past the defender. Shot wide of the net. It'll roll all the way out as it's out of the reach of Bowman. Bowman will push it across to Durecci, who's got coverage. Manages to turn and push it into the neutral zone. St. Albert back now in possession. Into the neutral zone. Making their way into the Knights' territory. Number 12 carries it in deep. Rolls off his stick. Durecci giving challenging, but it's pushed out by St. Albert to the point. Shot is wide of the net. Defenseman pays the price there as Noonan hits him. Just out of the reach of Noonan was that stretch pass. St. Albert will push it back the other way. Rolled off Connor's stick, unfortunately. Boyce will pick it up again. He'll push it off the wall for Reed. Reed chips it in and chases it down. Reed gets rocked there behind the net. Puck comes loose to LeMad. He'll push it down low. Pressure from Campbell. St. Albert now with a bit of space. They'll ice it. And we'll get a face-off back in their zone. Face-off will be to the right of the St. Albert goaltender. Shots 24-13 for St. Albert. About 5:31 to go here in the second period. 5-0 the score. Face-off win by the Knights. Push back to the point. Shot is through traffic. Loose puck is picked up by the goaltender. And we'll try it again from to his right. St. Albert win that draw back behind the net. Pressure from Maine, but St. Albert able to push it up the wall. They bobble it there though, and Hender will pick it up. He's got some space now. Goes for the net off of two shin pads. Shot again, loose puck. Still loose. Skated over, Hender's got it. He'll throw it back at the net. Goalie managed to get back in position though. And now St. Albert back the other way. Into a 2-on-1 here. Offside the call. And we'll get a face-off in front of the St. Albert bench. Face-off taken by Kepler. He'll win it, but St. Albert steps into it. They manage to strip it back. And now at the St. Albert blue line, it's bobbled. Frey giving chase. Managed to come out of the zone. It's in the feet of Avery and another St. Albert player. Avery will come up with it. Tries to hit Kepler with it, but it's picked off by big number 8. Sent back the other way. Number 9 with a step. Moving to the net. He gets pushed off it. Puck rolled just wide of the net there. Back on the stick of St. Albert in the slot. Good defensive play there. Blocked by Avery. He'll push it up the wall to Jacobs. Jacobs tries to send it across. Bonakoski will skate onto it. He bobbles it, and it's back into the zone. St. Albert's entering past the number 9, who was wide open. Missed it. Fortunate for the Knights. It's back up the wall. At the hash marks is Jacobs. They'll send it to center, but it's right under the stick of St. Albert, and they'll send it right back into the zone again. Bonakoski rolls it around the wall. Frey battling for it there. Frey will come away with a penalty as he had his stick up pretty high the whole time. St. Albert. Looks like Kepler will earn himself 2 as well as number 8 from St. Albert. So looks like we'll still end up on the penalty kill. Looks like the Royals will come up with an extra 2 minutes. No, looks like no. There'll be coincidental penalties. So even strength here. Gal pressing. Spencer has it. Pop fly just bounced from him, and Bowman has it stripped from him here at the blue. His own blue line shot is through the crease, but not touched. Boyce with it now. He's got Bridges in front of him, and he's got some room, so he'll go with it. He's got Bridges going to the net. It's well high and over the net. Goes past Bridges, kept in by Durecci, but it's off of the shins of number 12 from St. Albert. Breakaway here, partial break. Brady did very well to save that one, and Boyce gets all of it and sends it down the ice. No icing, as it's just short of the goal line. Pressure from Bridges, nearly given away to Bowman. St. Albert again with a step there. Kept to the outside, shot. Brady will hold on to that one, and we'll get a face-off to his right. Campbell out to take the draw. He's got Reed on his left. Pardon me, Reed on the right and Noonan on the left. St. Albert with pressure from Noonan there. They'll give it to Breen, to Hudson, up to Noonan. He sticks it past the defender and gets it back. Loose puck. Couldn't find a stick. Good stick check from Hudson there, but St. Albert still managed to end up with it and push it out to the neutral zone. Breen will get all of it and send it back behind the net. About 2 minutes to play here. Reed keeps it. Nope, stripped of it there. St. Albert throw it out to center ice. Green will try again, this time intercepted by the defender. Cross-ice pass, great glove down by Reed there. Puts it into the glove of the goaltender. Great opportunity. And nearly a bit of life there for the Knights. Some good pressure on that shift. Forced the turnover, just couldn't quite get it past the big goaltender. Kapler out to take the draw. Now he's got Main on his right side and Hender on his left. 1-2 Hender, who pushes it back to Avery. Avery back to Hender. Hender makes a move. He's got a bunch of traffic on him. He manages to get it into the corner for Kapler. It's pushed back to the blue line, but Avery was stepping forward. St. Albert offside, although not called offside. Avery manages to push it out to Kepler. Kepler has Hender and Main. It's a partial 3-on-2. Loose puck there, picked up by St. Albert though. Back the other way. St. Albert now with possession. Goes for the hit is Bonkowski's. Puck is loose. Number 9 from St. Albert picks it up. He's kept to the outside by Avery. Backdoor pass was a floater. And St. Albert player couldn't control it, so it ends up on the wall. Bounces now to Hender. Hender's pass just past the defender. Main with a step. He'll fire it off the blocker. The rebound just out of the reach of Kepler. Oh! Nice turnover there. And Main on the back door gets it chipped over the goaltender. We got some life here. Knights with a break and some momentum here to finish the second period. 56 seconds remaining. And it's 5-1. Bit of life here for the Knights. See what they can do with this. 26-20 the shots, so starting to even up a little bit. St. Albert walk out with it off the face-off. Number 12 pushed to the outside. A man left wide open and nearly makes the back door pass, but was stick checked just at the last moment. St. Albert with it now, rolls up the wall for Frey. Frey with a chip around the defender. It'll be pushed into the zone by St. Albert, so no icing. Jacobs chasing. Out to the neutral zone. Battle in the corner there. It pops out for St. Albert. St. Albert with it now. Centering pass into feet. Loose puck. Given to Bowman. Bowman with it now over the red line. He'll make a move around the defender. Couldn't get it to Frey. And that will end the period. Bit of pushing and shoving to finish things off. 5-1 the score. 26-20 the shots in favor of the home team. We will take a break for a clean, and we'll come back for the third. St. Albert starting with a 2-minute power play. Working in their own end there. Pressure from Kepler. St. Albert make it out of their zone. Pressure there, centering pass. Kept to the outside, couldn't get a shot off. St. Albert back behind the net, bobbled that puck there. Green with pressure. He'll pick up the loose puck. Nope. St. Albert recover off of a skate. Shot. A little sticky there. Puck stopped nicely for Green, and he pushes it out to the point. Walking in, deflected, off some legs, back the other way. Out to the blue line again. Shot. High and wide. Green gets a stick on it, and Kepler gets all of it, sends it all the way down. St. Albert now. Hender gets all of it at the blue line. He'll send it back deep. Knights called offside here, but St. Albert making their way back the other way. Good defensive work to keep the play to the outside. St. Albert with possession, back to the point now. Hender in the lane, it's passed around him and walked off the wall. Oh, great save by Brady. Into his glove, and he holds on to it with about 26 seconds left in the penalty. To Gow. Pardon me, Jacobs. St. Albert back to their blue line. With pressure there from Campbell. Around the net, St. Albert pick it up, out to the blue line again on the backhand, bobbled. And Frey gets a hold of it, sends it to center ice. St. Albert regrouping at their own goal line. Trying to make a breakout pass. Goes to Avery. Avery pushes it to Boyce. Boyce back to the blue line of St. Albert. Pressure from Jacobs. Penalty now over. Even strength here. Soft pass to the point. Just made it past Avery's stick there. He'll regroup and dump it back into the zone. Campbell on the wall. He picks it up and pushes it down low for Frey. Frey finds Jacobs in the slot. Just couldn't get all of it there. A nice attempt and a good pass. It rolls to the goaltender and he covers it up. We'll have a face-off to the right of the St. Albert goaltender. Kepler will take the draw. We've got Gow and Bridges on the wings. Bonikoski and Lemeb at defense. Battle on the wall there for it. Bonikoski pinching forward. St. Albert nearly giving it away to Bridges. It rolls out of the zone, and Knights will have to regroup. Bonikoski makes a move. Gets it to Kepler. It's stick check to the wall. Bridges there. Pressuring, it's given to him. He tries to walk to the middle, couldn't get a shot off. Kepler gets one off the blocker. I believe it's deflected off the defenseman, in fact. St. Albert with it behind the net now, pushing it up the wall. Bobbled, kept in by Hudson. Just rolls wide of the net there on his shot, dump shot back into the zone. St. Albert now walking into the neutral zone. Hudson separates man from puck. It's rolled up the wall, and Bridges will take it. Centers it for Gow, who chips it forward, and he'll chase it down. Icing's waved off. Pressure there from Gow. St. Albert around behind their own net. Noonan gets a piece of it, but not enough of it. Good hit from Reed there. the puck goes back the other way, but it's thrown right onto the tape of the defender. And Green will get a hold of it. He'll throw it in. No icing. St. Albert centered pass goes all the way across the ice. A dump out attempt, intercepted by Bowman. He's got 2 on him there. Into his feet, it rolls into the neutral ice in the slot. And Noonan will pick up the loose puck. He's got a step on the defenseman. He'll drop it back for Green. Green with a shot into traffic. Loose puck there. Goaltender manages to put a hand on it after finding it roll off his glove. And we'll get a face-off to his left. Good pressure here to start the period. And a good penalty kill by the Knights. Face-off taken by Campbell. He'll win it back to Durecci. Loose puck in front of the net. And Hender gets a stick on it and buries it behind the goaltender. There you go. That's all it takes. 5-2 the score. On a good puck in from Durecci. And Hender finds the loose rebound in front of the net. And there you go. Loose puck in front, picked up by Campbell. He'll get it forward to Hender. Hender dumps it into the zone. Maine giving chase. D-to-D pass. Avery has it deflected off his stick. It's gloved into the corner. Loose puck just given out into the slot. Knight's not really expecting it. It bounces back into the corner now. Number 7 will give it another attempt. Avery pinching. He pushes it in behind the net. And Knights regrouping here. Campbell giving pressure. Hold of it and send it down. Boyce picks it up with some speed. He'll skate hard with it. Bobbled just behind him, needed to stop and pick it up, but St. Albert grab it and they send it into the zone. Avery pushes it up to Hender. Hender comes off the wall. He'll chip it forward for Frey, who tries to push it forward, but too much traffic already at the St. Albert blue line. They'll still push it forward, but St. Albert gained control of it and dump it in. Jacobs giving chase. St. Albert to it first. They walk behind the net with it, but give it right to Bonikoski. Loose puck in front. Great effort by Brady to keep that out. Loose puck rolls out to blue line. St. Albert managed to keep it in. It's deep behind our net again. Centered pass is picked up by the defender and kept in at the blue line again. Bounces to Boyce. Boyce finds Frey and rolls off his stick to center. St. Albert will regroup and send it back in. Jacobs coming to the wall. Ties up number 11, and puck's picked up by Boyce. He'll chip it off the wall to Frey. Frey will push it out to Kapler. He gives it back to him. No. It's a chip towards the goal. Nearly a lovely piece of passing work, although good to see the puck being moved. And Knights will get some fresh legs out there. We've got Gal, Bridges on the wings. Noonan will take the draw, Bonikoski and Lemab to take on defense. St. Albert with possession, up the wall, it's behind the winger, and Bonikoski keeps it in, dumps it in deep for Noonan. Noonan behind the net with Bridges, or in the corner with the Bridges. St. Albert stepping out with it. Good stick check there. St. Albert called not offside. Centering pass rolls off the stick of the attacker, And Bridges will chip it for Lemab, who pushes it forward for Gal. Not sure if it was a pass attempt or not, but it looks like it'll be icing. Bit of a late call there. Coach not too happy about it. So it'll come all the way back into the Knight zone. This time left of the goaltender. Shots 31-24 in favor of the home team. Knights win the draw. Back to Bonikoski, who rolls it around the wall. Kept in. Shot is wide of the net through some traffic. St. Albert centering pass off of the butt of Gal. It's in the feet of Noonan. He skates off it, and St. Albert throw it back in. Hudson back for it. Pushes it around the wall to Gal. Gal's got pressure. He'll tie it up. Looking for some support. Now and Bonikoski digging for it in there now. Rolls behind the net for Hudson. Fists fly now. Looks like these two will be done for the night. I believe that was Bonikoski and number 18 from St. Albert. They will both be leaving. Classic St. Albert response. Likely those will be offsetting penalties. Oh, we'll let the Zebras have a moment to decide. 11:47 to play here in the third. 5-2 the score. Knights showing a bit of grit here. Trying to get back into this one. Face-off will be in the Knight zone, left of Brady. The Knights win the draw. Breen with it. He'll roll it behind the net for Bridges. Out of his reach. And St. Albert put it off of the upright off the wall there. Breen bobbled that one. Couldn't get the pass to Gal. It's pushed up by Noonan, but St. Albert will keep it in. Now they've got a loose puck. With some space now. Centering pass for nobody though. Picked up by the defender, Durecci. And the Knights will send it out of the zone. Pressure now from Bridges. 14 will throw it around the wall for number 16. Lets it go for the defender. Bobbled though. Durecci just had to roll off his stick there. And St. Albert will come back the other way. Shot off the leg of Brady. It's centered back through the neutral ice there. Comes all the way back past center. St. Albert bench. Full change for the Knights. St. Albert with some space. A blocked shot by Breen there. That one's going to leave a mark. He's going to come off. Centering pass from Boyce there was picked off by St. Albert. Brady made a nice save and they recovered that. Avery just about with a breakaway there. Some pushing and shoving ensuing after that. Avery needing to hustle back to the defensive position as St. Albert's got a 2-on-1 here, a partial 2-on-1. Good save by Brady. And he'll hold on to that for a face-off. Shots 34-24 now for the home team. Not sure how they're being counted exactly, but go with what we're being told. Face off to the left of Brady. Kepler will win the draw. Back to Boyce. Boyce button hooks. And He'll chip it off the wall to the defender, who sends it right back in deep. St. Albert first to it. Lucky bounce off of the skate. Nearly buried that one with an open man in the slot. Good interception there from Hender. He'll push it into the neutral zone for Maine. Maine skates onto it with some speed. Tries to make a move. Couldn't quite get there. Still aiming for the puck, though. And pushing ensues again. Tempers high. And big number 8 will go to the box. And Kepler will go with him. So offsetting penalties again. Should be even strength here. Maine will come back out. It's 5-on-5. Both benches haven't figured that out yet. There we go. So Noonan will take the draw. He's got Hender on his left and Maine on his right. It's one to the corner by St. Albert, but Maine gets to it first. He'll try to chip it out to his teammates, but St. Albert come up with it. Jerichi did well to bring it in. Noonan makes a turn there in the slot. Couldn't quite get the shot off. Trying to find Maine in front. It's intercepted by St. Albert. And they'll pick up the loose puck and send it down the ice. It'll roll right to Brady, and he'll cover it up. We'll have a face-off to his right. .22 to play here in the third period. Noonan wins the draw back for Boyce. Boyce with pressure, rolls it around the wall. Hard, it's kept in at the point. Deflected off of Boyce's skate into the corner. Even strength here. Press there by Noonan. He gets the puck out to Jacobs, who tries to hit Boyce with it. It's off his skate and bounces out to Frey. Frey will turn around with it, tries to push it forward for Jacobs, who tried to give it to Noonan. Loose puck now in the slot, in the neutral zone, pardon me. It's brought in by the Knights, so it's not offside. St. Albert with a shot well wide, more of a dump in there. Frey will pick up the loose puck and put it into his own bench. And so we'll get a face-off, likely in our zone, right of Brady. With 8:38 now to play, 5-2 the score for the home team, St. Albert. 601. Campbell wins the draw, again to Boyce. He's got pressure though, it rolls around to Breen. And Breen tries to catch Jacobs with it, a favorable bounce there, bounces for Campbell. Campbell with some speed, he gets around one defender but not the second, he's into the corner. He's got Frey with him, Frey takes him behind the net, got some space, trying to create some room. He'll drop it for the pinching forward, or defenseman Breen. Centered, off the skate, goes back behind the net. Breen will have to keep that in at the blue line. He does. Pushes it down for Frey. Frey tries to center it. It rolls to Breen. Breen will chip it. And Jacobs gets a stick on it. A great attempt there. Good bounce, just out of the reach of Campbell. It rolls into the corner. Jacobs carrying it now. Stripped off of him, but Campbell will pick up the loose puck. Nice pass to Jacobs. But Campbell tied up, it rolls to the defender in the corner, and now D to D. Breen pinching. It's a stick check from him, and St. Albert will come back the other way. St. Albert will get a change now as they were hemmed in. And Frey now will turn with it. He's got pressure from 16, makes a move. Gets around big number 2 as well, but number 6 is coming for him. And he gives it away to the defenseman. Couldn't be kept in there. It's dumped in, however, so Knights will clear the zone. Gal will give pressure now. It's icing by St. Albert. Face-off won by the Knights into traffic. Hudson gets another attempt at it. He puts it across to Avery with some space. Oh, good shot, but it's wide of the net. It'll come all the way out of the zone. Bowman picks up the loose puck. That's going to be in offside. And we'll try that again from neutral ice here in front of the St. Albert bench. St. Albert with possession through the neutral zone. They're stalled at the blue line. That's well offside, and they'll blow it down. Face off in front of the Knights bench. Kepler takes the draw. He'll win it for Bowman. Bowman tries to walk through two players, and the puck bounces off a foot and is sent all the way back down. This time it will be icing, and we'll get a face-off deep in St. Albert territory. Face-off to the right of the St. Albert goaltender. Kepler, Bowman, and Reed up front. Breen and Durecci on defense. Knights win the draw. Back to Breen. It's wide of the net there. It's the referee, and St. Albert will pick it up. St. Albert now with some speed back the other way. Durecci trying to stay with him. He will, and pushes him to the outside. Excellent effort there. Still in possession, though, is St. Albert. They'll flub it out in front of the net, and Reed will take it. He'll push it up to Bowman. Bowman through the neutral zone. Tries to get it past the player. Couldn't get it past the skate of the player, and Reed picks up the wall. Bounces favorably to Bowman, but his shot will be into the crest of the goaltender. We'll hold on to it. We'll get another attempt at it here. Deep in St. Albert territory. Noonan will take the draw. He's got Gow, who chips it into deep territory for himself. He's got some room, looking for an open stick. He's got Bridges in front, tied up with three players. Bounces it off a few bodies. And St. Albert getting their feathers up a little bit as Gow kind of fell towards the net.
Attention all members and guests. The facility is now closed. We will reopen tomorrow morning at 6:30 a.m. Thank you.
Noonan wins the draw back to Avery. Avery bobbles it, and he'll make a move around player. Second defender, though, will chip it out of his hands. Bridges trying to make a move around his man. He'll knock him down, but the player will get the puck out of the zone. Boyce back for it. Pressure early from St. Albert, which has been typical for most of the game. They regain control. Shot is wide of the net. Boyce pushing and shoving with big number 8. Avery back in the corner gives a shove and gets possession of the puck. Bridges trying to battle there with two big players from St. Albert. Ties it up, goes thrown back to the point. Shots wide of the net, and St. Albert will pick it up at the hash marks. St. Albert with a push and a shove. Kept in at the point, deflected by Avery there. Wide. Bouncing puck comes to Gow. Noonan with it now. He'll walk, tries to give it to Gow, but it was his offhand. Couldn't quite get a handle on it to get a shot off. Nice chip there from Avery to Gow. Managed to get it thrown towards the net, but it was wide. Good turn off the skate of the goalie. Neutral zone turnover here. Noonan with it. He'll carry it into the zone with a shot. Oh! Right over the blocker side. Right over the blocker of the goaltender, not really expecting a shot, and he was partially screened by his own player. An excellent shot from Noonan, and it's 5-3. that's why you keep going to the net. With almost 4 minutes to play here, we've got a 5-3 game. Campbell will take the draw. He's got Hender and Maine with him. St. Albert win that. And they'll come back the other way, seemingly determined. And big number 9 walks through the slot unchallenged, gets a shot over the glove of Brady, and they are back to a 3-goal lead. Well, we'll try it again here. 3:50 to go now. In the third, 6-3 the score. St. Albert at their own blue line, back into their own zone. Pressure from Campbell. Rolled around the wall. It's picked up there by Maine. Rolls off of his stick. Bounces favorably for St. Albert. Kept in at the point, though, by Durecci. St. Albert will bring it back into the zone. It's chipped out in front of number 10. He goes for the hit instead of the puck. Knights will turn it back the other way. Chipped around the charging forward there. Kept in, dumped back into the zone by St. Albert. They had to clear and regroup. Sent to the blue line, not kept in. Offside. Chipped around the defender there, but likely be heavy enough to be icing, and it is. So it'll come back into our zone with about 3 minutes to play. 6-3 the score. Shots are 36-28. Favor the home team. Kepler winning the draw there, back to Boyce. Boyce with pressure as per usual. St. Albert getting on the defenders very quickly. St. Albert keeping it in. Big number 2 walks to the slot. Unselfishly passes it down to the circle. And with some room, has a shot, puts it over Brady. And that'll be 7-3 with 2:44 left to play. Knights will definitely want to have those two back. Gray battling for it. He'll push it into the zone and tries to get around the defender. He gets dragged down, so that'll be a penalty. St. Albert touch it. And the Knights will go on the power play for 2 minutes. First one of the night, I believe. Face-off will be left to the St. Albert goaltender. 2:34 to play in the game here. Kepler wins it forward. Jacobs pressing behind the net. It's tied up in feet. Frey walks out with it. He'll put it back to the point for Boyce. Boyce with a shot just over the net. It was a good look. Frey kept it, but it was challenged by 2 St. Albert players, and they'll come back the other way. Good hit there by Breen. St. Albert's still in possession, though. Frey has it in front of him. He tries to send Jacobs, but it's right onto the stick of St. Albert and back the other way. Boyce tries to make his way through. He'll push and gets a bounce. Pushes it forward for Frey. He was a little late, though he wasn't expecting it. Kept by Kepler. Drop for Jacobs. Jacobs chips it low for Kepler. End of Jacobs' feet was a rolling puck. Avery with a shot off of the defender. Drops in front of the defender in front of the net and sent all the way down. The map back for it. He'll send it far side for Frey. Frey tries to pass it through a defender. It's broken up and St. Albert will dump it into the zone again. Minute 20 to play here in the period. 45 seconds left in the power play. LeMay tries to hit Reed with that pass. It's wide of him, but they waved off the icing. Avery picks up the loose puck at the ring-end line, walks forward, tries to find Noonan with it. Intercepted. Hudson did well to knock that puck down. He'll throw it in deep. 50 seconds-ish to go here. Picked off, centering pass off the pad of the goaltender. Rebound bounces to St. Albert. Number 16 with some speed, back the other way. He'll shoot. It's over the net and off the blocker. Avery pushes it up to Reed, who tries to put it on the stick of Noonan. He does. Noonan will gain the zone. He gets a stick check off of him. Bowman pushes it down to him, though, and Noonan will get possession again, tries to throw it out to Green, but there's too much traffic, and St. Albert will come back the other way. Centering pass, rolling, finds its way behind the net. Loose puck in the slot, off of the skate of Durecci into the corner. Back to the point, St. Albert keeps it in, shot through traffic. Grady does well to save that. Only a second left to play, and that's how the game will end, unfortunately. 7-3 the score for the home team, St. Albert. SA601, pardon me, 611. To fix that. Thanks for joining us. We've got a break here for the tiering round ending. Not really sure when we'll be back, but we'll see you then.